A 6-ton iconic altar stone at the heart of Stonehenge originated from northeastern Scotland rather than southwest Wales.
Over 5,000 years ago, long before wheels, cranes, or metal tools existed in Britain, a colossal monument was built, Stonehenge. For centuries, this ancient site has mystified scientists, historians, and dreamers alike. Was it a temple, an alien site, or something beyond our imagination? Now, thanks to groundbreaking DNA analysis and astonishing archaeological finds, we're finally uncovering the truth. The builders weren't locals. They came from distant lands, bringing with them knowledge, culture, and a shared vision that would span generations. Stonehenge wasn't built overnight. It evolved over 1,000 years, shaped by migration, ritual, and power. And what we're learning is reshaping our entire understanding of ancient history. Stonehenge predates the invention of the wheel in Britain. Let that sink in. No industrial machinery, no cranes, no carts, just ingenuity and determination. Standing before those massive stone columns, it's hard to believe they were moved using only wood, rope, stone, and human strength. But that's exactly what happened. Situated on the windswept Salisbury Plain in southern England, the construction began around 3100 BC. Neolithic people started with a massive circular ditch and bank, dug using deer antlers and stone tools. They didn't have pottery in wide use, let alone metal, but they embarked on one of the largest engineering projects in prehistoric history. The first phase included timber posts set in deep pits known as Aubrey holes. Over time, new arrivals added stone structures, culminating in the transport of bluestones from over 200 miles away in Wales. Later, even larger sarsen stones, some weighing more than 40 tons, were brought from Marlborough Downs 25 miles to the north. And all of this happened with no roads, no wheels. The most accepted theory? Wooden sledges and grease log rollers. Stones were placed on slick logs and slowly rolled forward as the back logs were recycled to the front. Some believe rafts were used to cross rivers or tracks lubricated with animal fat. Bluestones may have even been floated along coastal routes and rivers like the Avon. Yet, moving the stones was just one challenge. Raising them was another. Archaeologists suggest that ramps of packed earth were built beside the standing stones, allowing slabs to be dragged up and dropped into vertical pits. Precision, gravity, and muscle did the rest. And the perfectly placed lintels? Pulled up with ropes and locked into position by carved joints. But this raises a deeper question. Why? Why would small, scattered communities without kings, cities, or even writing invest centuries of labor into this monument? Some historians believe the act of building it was the point, a sacred project that unified tribes and gave them a shared identity. Others say it marked the movements of the sun, the stars, or the spiritual heart of an early civilization. Whatever the purpose, one thing is clear: Stonehenge wasn't about limits. It was about willpower. And, incredibly, those massive stones weren't even the most mysterious part. Scattered among the larger sarsen stones are 43 bluestones, smaller, but just as enigmatic. Weighing up to 4 tons each, these stones weren't native to Salisbury Plain. They were volcanic and igneous, geologically different from the surrounding sandstone. Where did they come from? Geologists trace them to the Preseli Hills in southwest Wales, over 200 miles away. That's an unimaginable distance to move such stones by hand in prehistoric times. So, why did they do it? Some believe the bluestones had spiritual or healing powers. Others think they were symbolic gifts from distant tribes or connections to ancestral homelands. But, regardless of meaning, the logistics were staggering. Like the sarsens, the bluestones were likely dragged across land on sledges and rollers, requiring hundreds of coordinated workers. Another theory suggests they were floated along coastal waters and rivers using wooden rafts. While possible, the dangers of moving massive stones by water without nails, steel, or steering would have been extreme. In the 1970s, some geologists proposed an alternative theory that glaciers during the last ice age carried the bluestones closer to the site, and the builders simply used what was nearby. But there's a problem. No glacial deposits have been found near Stonehenge, and recent studies show the stones were extracted from very specific Welsh quarries. Tool marks and cutting pits prove that they were intentionally mined and moved by hand, which makes the story even more extraordinary. Stonehenge wasn't built by accident. It was meticulously planned, and the stones were transported across Britain on purpose, without written language, maps, or machines. And still, the myths about how it was built would persist for centuries. Before science could answer the questions, legends filled the gaps, and one figure stood above them all. Merlin, the legendary wizard of King Arthur's court. According to medieval lore, Stonehenge wasn't built by humans at all, but by magic. As the story goes, after a Saxon massacre, King Aurelius wanted to honor the fallen with a powerful monument. Merlin told him of a magical ring of stones in Ireland, originally placed there by giants. The king's army failed to move them, so Merlin used his magic to lift the stones, fly them across the sea, and arrange them on Salisbury Plain. That monument became Stonehenge. The tale, recorded in the 12th century by Geoffrey of Monmouth, was widely accepted for hundreds of years. After all, how else could such massive stones be moved without machines? Other myths followed, blaming giants, ancient kings, or survivors of Atlantis. Some believed the stones predated Noah's flood. Others claimed the Druids built them. Even the Romans suspected the site held powerful secrets. To medieval minds, Stonehenge had to be magical. It was simply too perfect. Yet even today, people still gather there during solstices, modern Druids and spiritualists who mark the movement of the sun. Ironically, they may be closer to the truth than they realize, because Stonehenge is aligned with celestial events. It may not have been built by magic, but it was built for the sky. /4 centuries, experts searched for the one group that built Stonehenge, the Druids, the Romans, the Danes. But modern archaeology tells a different story. Stonehenge wasn't built by one people, it was shaped by many. The earliest phase, around 3000 BC, was the work of Neolithic farmers, Britain's first settled communities. Using antlers and stone tools, they dug ditches and aligned timber posts in circles. But then something changed. Around 2500 BC, new DNA evidence reveals a major migration. People from continental Europe arrived, possibly from Anatolia or modern-day Turkey. They brought new customs, tools, and beliefs, and rather than destroy what they found, they built upon it. Over the next 1,500 years, different cultures added, reshaped, and reimagined Stonehenge. Some brought stones. Others changed the layout. Many used it for burial or ceremonies. It wasn't a static monument, it was alive, evolving with every generation. And so, the real story of Stonehenge isn't one of giants or wizards. It's one of human will, collaboration, and awe. A mystery carved in stone, written in the stars, and now, finally understood. They arrived with more than just ambition. Armed with metal tools, a livestock-based economy, and the hard-earned knowledge of how to move massive stones, these new settlers reshaped the landscape. They added the defining features of Stonehenge we recognize today, the mighty Sarsen Circle and towering trilithons. Some of these stones weighed up to 40 tons and were transported over 25 miles without the use of wheels. Why would anyone do that? Because by now, Stonehenge had evolved into something far greater than a construction site. It had become a powerful symbol, a sacred tradition, a cultural identity etched in stone. Rather than destroy what came before, each new culture that encountered Stonehenge honored it. They added their own meaning, transforming it into a monument of continuity, shared heritage passed from generation to generation. Then came the Beaker people, named for their distinctive bell-shaped pottery. Roaming across Europe during the late Neolithic and Bronze Age, they left behind burial goods, tools, and even human remains near Stonehenge. These findings suggest the monument's purpose shifted yet again, becoming a burial ground, possibly reserved for elite families or spiritual leaders. Astonishingly, the site's alignment with the sun remained sacred. Generation after generation ensured the stones still aligned with the summer solstice sunrise and the winter solstice sunset. This enduring reverence implies an unbroken chain of belief, almost like guardianship, where each culture inherited a purpose and preserved the sacred geometry at its heart. Evidence of widespread gatherings supports this. Animal bones found around Stonehenge reveal people journeyed from as far as Scotland and Wales, bringing livestock and ritual objects. The site may have functioned as a national center for ritual events, seasonal celebrations, or reunions. But the deeper question remains, what was it all for? Was it built for religion? Power? Cosmic alignment? The truth may be even stranger, because Stonehenge might not just be a monument. It might be a machine, a cosmic machine. Once we understand who built Stonehenge, the more haunting question becomes why. What compelled ancient people to dedicate generations to dragging bus-sized stones across the land, precisely arranging them, and constantly returning to realign and rebuild? One of the most widely supported modern theories suggests that Stonehenge served as a vast astronomical calendar. Several key stones align with celestial events. On the summer solstice, for instance, the sun rises directly over the heel stone, sending light into the monument center. On the winter solstice, the sun sets in perfect alignment with the central altar and trilithons. This level of precision could not have been accidental. Recent studies confirm that Stonehenge may have been designed to track both solar and lunar cycles. This would have been vital for early agricultural societies that depended on knowing exactly when to plant or harvest crops. But it doesn't stop at a single cycle. Some believe the 56 Aubrey holes circling the site were used to track lunar eclipses or the metonic cycle, a 19-year lunar pattern that aligns with the solar year. That would make Stonehenge an enormous analog computer capable of predicting eclipses and solstices.